But there are probably 5 things that I really want to impart. The first one is how to identify the 3 levers in qualifying high value B2B complex deals. And today we're also going to talk about what is actually a complex deal, right? And then the 5 steps framework on how to qualify. And then how does our client make decisions, and how do they invest and buy from us? And how do we make it more collaborative? So these are all the things that we're going to talk about. And I also want you to experience that being in cohorts are cool. So I'm going to run a 3rd cohort next week. It's really different from a very corporate kind of training where you know each other. So cohorts, there's going to be a lot of different backgrounds, different countries, different perspectives. And I think it's great to learn when you're in a mixed, different kind of personalities and knowledge. And I bet you everyone here with their sales experience, we probably have 1,000 sales experience in this platform. So I'm excited to share I'm excited for everyone to share their knowledge. So I'm curious about you. I've met some of you guys. I've communicated an email. If you can put on the chat, where are you in the world? What are you selling? And how many years have you been in sales? I would be really fascinated to know. Is anyone typing? Yeah, thank you. Hey, Sonam. Okay, 6 months into sales. Welcome to sales. You're a co-founder of a sports tech company, Huddle. Great to be here. Anyone else, like, put in the chat, where are you? How many years in sales? I'll give you a few moments. It also gives me an indication of how I'm going to structure the presentation. So if you have a lot of experience, I would welcome that. Would really love to hear from you. All right. Okay. Glenn from Auckland, 20 years in sales. Hey, Glenn, always learning. Thank you for the support. Glenn Marvin is one of the gurus here in Auckland. Thank you. All right. Okay. So I'll get to know you more. Tim from BizX. Hey, hello, Tim. Small part of what I do and probably decades of selling consulting services. Awesome. And Manbir, thank you. And as salespeople, we always, I don't know about you, but I always eat lunch for breakfast. I always eat no for lunch, breakfast, and dinner when I was starting my sales role. As a young sales professional, you just have to do your best when you haven't done any training. And when I was starting my sales career, there was a guy called Zig Ziglar. So if you are my age, you know Zig Ziglar. But if you don't know Zig Ziglar, you gotta look at him. So Emmanuel Correa, Philippines, and Finivan, welcome. 2 years in sales, welcome. So Zig Ziglar was saying the most important persuasion tool you have in your entire arsenal is integrity. And for me, this is really important. Why? So as salespeople, don't you think that a lot of people is thinking that we're sleazy? Max De Vera, Philippines, thank you, welcome. And why do you think people are thinking that being in sales is sleazy? Why do you think? I mean, for me, the problem is, there's a lot of people who try to sell things to people who doesn't want it or doesn't need it. And they have a remorse, a buyer's remorse. It becomes like, why did I buy that? This is not what I wanted. And that's really, really bad. So for us as salespeople, having integrity on what we do, taking care of our clients is really important. And that's one thing that I really want you guys to keep in mind all the time. So before we start as well, there's a very famous Nobel Prize scientist and Richard Feynman, right? What he was saying is, when you study a new skill set, you have to study first and try to teach it. And then when you teach it, you're going to discover that actually, I don't know a lot about this topic. So when you teach it, you will see a lot of gaps. And that's the point, being able to teach it. And then once you see that there's a gap, you'll be able to study again and then simplify it. So I'd love for you, whatever you learned today, try to teach it to another person. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it right. It's the most important thing is when you try teaching it, you're going to be able to learn it. Okay, I'm just going to mute some people. Sorry. All right. And okay, and then the last one, before we go to the gist of this course, why is this course important? This is really important because we want to manage trust with our clients, right? If you don't have trust with our clients, we won't be able to really understand what their problems are, what their challenges, and how we can help them. And the challenge with this is a lot of our clients, when we sell to them, they've already had some kind of products and services. And when they have a kind of products and services, sometimes they've already made bad decisions. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're selling a CRM software to your client, and currently they're not happy with the CRM that they have, but they were the ones who made the decision on it. So when they're sharing it with you, they won't be able to feel safe about what they think and they believe. They're going to filter a lot of things. And when our clients start filtering a lot of things, we won't really be able to help them. And that's actually the real challenge. So for us as salespeople, the first thing that we need to do is to have empathy. Understand the perspective of our client. Don't talk, don't pitch a solution ever on your first conversation. Have that rapport and build it with them. Hey, Dea, welcome. And so we need to build trust and build that collaborative approach so that they can build a business case with us and we can have a solution that truly meet what the client need in a beneficial way. So what are the 3 core skills that you need to work on? So I call it the elite sales athlete, right? I love Sonam is into sports. I love using athletes as an image of a great salesperson because there's a lot of common things about a great salesperson and a great sales athlete, and we'll go further. So what are the core skills of an elite sales athlete? Well, first of all, you have to have that EQ. So what is EQ? Emotional intelligence. It's really being able to have empathy and being able to relate with our client and being able to see them first before our own needs. And then when we listen to them, when we have effective listening skills, then we'll be able to have behavioral flexibility. So what is behavioral flexibility? By the way, this is a 1-hour course. So I'm trying to put everything right. So if I'm moving too fast, pardon me, just give me some comments. So behavioral flexibility is being able to pause and see what is my client thinking, feeling, and I need to adjust with them. An example is I am actually a very energetic person. I talk fast, I talk a lot. But when I'm facing a client who is on the opposite side, a bit of introvert, let's say a chief financial officer who's very much into the details and they don't talk too fast, they're kind of feeling me around, I'll tell myself, Ren, calm down, lower your voice, don't too energetic. Because if you have come to think of it, who are the people that you like most? It's going to be a reflection of you. So you have to have that behavioral flexibility is kind of calibrate your client. What is he thinking? And this is a whole course, but I am just fast tracking our conversation. So that's emotional intelligence and having a real self-awareness of what's happening in a conversation with your client. The other one is IQ, which is being able to ask effective questions, strategic thinking, and a really very strong business acumen. And you can only have this if you have a knowledge on business models and strategies. And then the next one is your XQ, which is strategy and execution. Again, action making, making sure that whatever strategy you have, you're actually making things happen. And this is the hardest part. For salespeople, you know, we can always plan, we can always have a strategy, but doing the execution part, it takes a lot of skills and really good habits, you know, being very consistent. Even though your boss is not looking at you, you're still going to do the job. Even though it's going to be hard, you're still going to do the job. Let's say you're a hunter, you need to prospect, you need 10 clients in a week. Even though you're stressed or nervous, you're still going to do it, right? Making things happen is really a big part of what the salesperson's core skills. Now, aside from that, there's a lot of challenges happening in the world right now, right? What are the major changes? Well, aside from COVID, I know we've had that. People has really changed. So according to Gartner, 75% of B2B buyers don't see value in interacting with salespeople. And that's exactly true because everyone is just used to online. And by the time they call you, actually, they've already made the decision. They've already made the decision that they need this product to a company, and they've done all their research. And then most employees want hybrid work. So if you are working in a hybrid environment, it's very hard to find you. It's very hard to speak to you. I remember when I was working for a telco provider, I would sit at the Telstra lobby and I will try to catch all of my clients passing by to have coffee with me, right? But now that doesn't work. Most of us are on hybrid work. You have to set some meetings. 73% of B2B buyers are millennials. What does that mean? Millennials are born in the internet age. So they don't like a lot of face-to-face, and this is a study done by Gartner. So how do you solve that, right? How do you become more be with them more when everyone's online? And B2B sales interaction will happen more in 2025. So Gartner was saying 80%. But you know what? Not everything is doom and gloom, because what is a complex deal? So before we do that, let's define the type of B2B sales. So when you have a client, they have a need, but there's two types of need. Either it's a latent need or it's an express need. So an express need is they actually know they have a problem and they want to solve it. Latent need is more challenging because they don't have a problem, but you can make their business or their lives or their company better. An example are software, right? I use a software called Zero. And before I went into business, I didn't want to use it. But my accountant said, Ren, you're running a business. You need to use Zero. I don't want to pay for $80, I said, per month, because I was trying to be stingy, right? But guess what? As soon as I use Zero, I don't want to let go of it. So that is one example of being able to show that you're going to give value, but they don't know that they need it yet. So that's called the latent need. So maybe think about where are you in the, and by the way, your product can be both latent and express need. Guys, can you please mute your mute, please? Okay, please mute. All right, thank you so much. So skip a part. So think about where you are right now in your sales products. Are you a latent or an express need? And sometimes it can be both, depending on the situation of your client. Then the next one is the sales cycle. Is it a short sales cycle or is it a long selling cycle? So short can be, you know, like 2 weeks to a month, but it will take more than that, then it's a long selling cycle. So in the short sales cycle, they make decision really fast. Obviously, if it's long, it has significant consequences for them. That's why it's a long sales cycle. And the third one is, will you have a short relationship with them or is it ongoing long relationship? One of the examples of short relationship are cars, right? Sometimes when you buy a car, if it's a secondhand car, you don't see the person anymore. But if you buy a very expensive car in the dealer, then you'll be able to have a long relationship with them because you're going to take the care of their car, they're going to pick it up, and all of those things. The next one is decision makers. So how many will make a decision? Is it one? Is it two? And be very careful with this, because sometimes you think there's only one decision maker, but then you qualify and you realize like, oh my God, there's actually three decision maker. There's a recommender, there's one who's going to approve the budget, there's one who's going to approve the technical side. So are there multiple stakeholders? So understanding all of these different B2B deals, what is a complex deal then? So a complex deal can be a combination of having a need or a future need or result. But when it becomes very multiple interactions and decision makers and very significant investment, you have to talk to a lot of people to make it happen, and the impact on their business is really big, then it's a complex deal. So if you're selling a software, like for example, that I said Xero, that's a simple deal, right? So if you're selling that, you might not need everything that I will explain, but you can stay and have a conversation, because the problem with doing simple deals is you would need less and less humans, right? Because everyone will just go to the website, practice, go to the website, and then just order their own stuff. They won't need a salesperson to explain it to them. And that's when human interaction is really key when it's a complex deal. And then you want to have long-term business relationships, right? These are what complex deals means. So let me know if you are in a complex deal environment. Put in the chat where you are at. Are you in the complex deal? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sonam. Okay. Yeah. So only one decision maker, but long selling cycle. Okay, that's still a complex deal. All right. So a reminder, right? When a client has a problem, that doesn't mean that they're going to buy still, because our solution has no universal application. Every solution that we sell, the client has to derive value from it. So even if it's going to solve their problem, if it's not valuable to them, they're not going to buy. And I'll give you an example, right? So if your client has a big problem on an infrastructure, but the solution to that infrastructure is more expensive than the problem they have, they're not going to buy, because it's not going to justify the economics for them. And one of the common mistake of salespeople is not going through that sales process. And we're going to focus on that today. If there's something that I really, really want to teach, is to be able to qualify and make the right decisions for yourself and your clients. So ideally, this is the B2B sales process, and you might have a different one or a longer one. Feel free to let me know, put it in the chat. So you initiate opportunities with your prospect, right? And this is the situation we're in. Hey, are we gonna talk together? Are we having a conversation? Are you able to work with me, right? That's the initial conversation. And then you qualify. Then you validate and build a strategy around it before you propose. Now, my question to you is, how much percentage do you qualify in your opportunities? Like if this is 100%, how much time do you qualify? I really want to know the answer. So please put in the chat how much you want to qualify. I'll wait for it, but I'll go ahead. So in the B2B sales process, you might see that there's something missing here. Thank you, Sonam, not enough. Some people would tell me, oh, there's no negotiation here. Exactly. Because if you're doing it the right way, believe me, you don't need to negotiate. And I'll give you some, hopefully we'll have time, I'll give you some examples. Because negotiation happens when it's not clear. So a B2B sales process, especially for corporate, right? You really have to be sharp. It's a tool for planning and executing a sales strategy. Is your sales process clear? Like right now, where you are in the sales process and every client that you have. It's a great framework for creating winning strategies because you know where you are in the sales process. You can make decisions like go, no go. Am I going to win this opportunity or not? Not all opportunities you have to run after, because if there's no chance for you to win, you're just wasting your time. So the best salespeople know where they're going to win, and they're going to put all of their energy and resources there to win. And that's the key criteria. How do you qualify? So it's a way to progress through the opportunity sales cycle, and it's a great framework so you can know how you can win and if you're going to lose anyway. So that was my question earlier. Sonam said not enough. So if you could please put in the chat, how many % of your sales process spent in qualifying? I'm waiting. 35%. Thanks, Tim. All right. Not enough for me, Manbir. Okay. I think you got the gist, team. So I really suggest that you spend 75 to 80% of your time qualifying. So when you qualify and you propose, then you win more. And when you present, you have to have the 3 levers: the opportunity information, the resources, and the decision making. If you don't have these 3, don't submit a proposal ever. That's my biggest message today, okay? And when you present, you gotta present to the right people with the right amount of time. Do not submit a proposal on email. Do not ever do that. When you present an offer, you have to talk to your client. That's the biggest tip I'm going to tell you guys, okay? So, how do you qualify opportunities? So qualifying opportunities obviously will help you prioritize your focus. It's a high percentage of win. It will highlight risk early in the sales cycle. If you know you're not going to win, why would you submit an offer, right? This is the biggest question. And if you have a very different perspective, happy for you to say, no, I disagree, and just let me know on the chat. And then you'll be able to focus yourself on the best opportunities, right? So there's 3 levers in qualifying high-value B2B complex deals. We're not going to go through all of the details because of lack of time, but I will try my best to give you the very high level. So opportunity, resources, and decision-making. So opportunity, I think we'll be able to go into the depth of it. Resources is about when you provide pricing, money, time, and people. So when you do negotiating with your client, it's not all about pricing. You can work on time, people, and money. And I will share that with you. This is how pricing strategy models are created. And then the decision, how does your client make decision? Do they actually know how they make decision? Can you influence them how to make those decisions? So 5 steps on how to qualify opportunities. Step 1, do not jump to selling a solution. First meeting a client, do not make a pitch, ever. Step 2, get out all of the issues, the challenges, the problems. By the way, we will go to the details. Step 3, prioritize all the issues. It's like coaching a client. Your client might tell you 20 different problems, but you have to prioritize. What are the top 1 or 2? And then step 4, gather evidence impact. How do you know that problem actually exists? And if they want a result, how do you know when that result happens? What does success look like? So those are the kind of questions you will ask. And then step 5, explore context and constraints. What does this mean? This means if that problem has been happening for a long time, why haven't they done anything? What stopped them from doing that? So you got to understand all of this. So how do you not jump into a solution? You might tell me, have this ever happened to you? You go in a meeting and your client says, okay, what's your solution? as salesperson, it's so easy to fall into the trap and say, this is my solution. Always. This is my solution, right? Do not do that. At the end of the day, you won't be able to know what your client need, right? So I'll give you some strategies of not doing that. So don't make a pitch. Don't accept their solution either. So your client might be talking to a competitor. Yeah, I know, Sonam. They all want to figure it out in 5 minutes. They might be talking to a competitor and they'll tell you, this is what I want. No, you're not going to accept that either, right? What is the right way? The right way is to mutually collaborate. Again, start with empathy. And I will show you step by step how to do it. Being emotionally intelligent, being self-aware, breathe, look at your client. They're asking you for a solution. Just pause right there. What you need to do is to be able to collaborate with each other. But you might tell me, but Ren, I see my client and then they tell me, what's your proposal? Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the dealer framework. So D for don't jump into a solution. You got to listen what they're saying and then use an EQ statement and redirect the question. So let's do an example. If we are in a cohort, we're going to do a breakout session and we're going to practice, but we're not in a cohort. Everyone here doesn't know each other yet. So I do understand I'm not going to do a breakout session with you guys. So if your clients say, hey, Sonam, we've always seen your company as a cloud provider. Tell me what you have to offer in security products. What are you going to say, right? Yes, these are my security products. No, don't do that. Say, if they have a problem, if you kind of know they have a problem, say, great. I love talking about our capabilities, but in order for me to focus on what you need, what are the most important business issues you want to address? Or what are the challenges you have right now? Try to avoid using what are your problems right now, because it's going to push the client back. Like when you say problems, they're going to oh, I don't want to share my problem to you. So just say, what are the important business issues that you have? Now, if you know that they don't have a problem and your product is more of a latent need, like it's going to give more better results, talk about business priorities and outcome. So you can say, I would love to, move too fast. I would love to, but I don't want to waste your time. What are your top business priorities? Talk about it, align to your product. So if you want to practice Sonam, if you want to chat, let me know, put in the box. You can just say, what are your top business priorities you have to achieve next year? It will help me provide the right solution. So I know I have InfiniVan here, right? You're providing enterprise fiber solutions, right? So when you talk to your client, before you talk about your solution, ask them, what are the business opportunities? If they're a call center, what are the business opportunities that they want? And then focus on those business opportunities or business outcomes that they want before you offer a solution. And then you'll be able to ask them really, really good questions. The next one is, hey, I've heard about your new solution. Let's say you launch a new product. Can you give me a proposal and let's run a trial next month? Me as a very excited salesperson, I'm going like, okay, let's go. Let's run a trial. But the problem with running a trial is you don't know what they need, what they want, what their challenges are, what the success look like, right? So again, listen, pause, use an EQ statement like, that's great. I've already solved a lot of problems of my clients or challenges, but I'm curious, why do you want to use our products? Or what information do you want to need, so I can be very specific about it? So these are the type of questions that you'll be able to give them and redirect it. And the other one is, happy to provide a proposal, but before I provide a proposal, what are the results you're looking for? Or and then they can start talking about, oh, we're going to launch a new call center and we're going to build this. So now you actually have a feeling of, not a feeling, but information of where do they want to go, and build a partnership around it rather than just giving a proposal, right? I don't even give proposals when I don't know the budget. So if you've received the workbook that I've given you, use that as an exercise. Think of a major sales opportunity that you have and define your client's problem or results they want. So when you do this exercise, right, ask yourself, what are the problems that have to exist before your client wants to talk to you, that they're excited to talk to you? What are those? Like the word excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to Arnold, right? I'm excited to talk to Manbir or Dea. Why are they going to be excited? What are the problems that you're going to be able to solve or make a difference in their business? Cool, right? So if we're in a cohort, we're going to do some sharing. And then the next one is, so they've told you what their business opportunities are. They told you what the challenges is. Get out all the issues. So they might tell you 5 or 10. You have to encourage them to talk more and then acknowledge. And then the most important one is you got to validate and confirm it. Let's say they told you all about the problems. Oh, I have a problem with your competitor, blah, 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 blah. They give you a 10 list and ask them, okay, out of those 10 lists, what's the most important for you? They say reliability. I want 99.86%. They give you some KPIs. You have to repeat that to them and say, okay, if I'm able to solve all of these problems to you, is that exactly what you need? And it will solve a solution for you? Is that the kind of solution you're looking at? So now you're getting a lot of micro yeses, right? You're not in the dark. And they can even say, no, that's not what I need. You misunderstood me. Okay, so what do you need? So, and then you're gonna have that conversation. Really going through that process of understanding what your client needs. And the third one is you cannot solve everything, right? I know our clients normally want 100 features. You got to push them back. What are the top 2 or 3 priorities that you have that will solve 80% of your problem? Focus on that one. And then so how do you do this, right? Summarize it. And then once you get the top 2, so ask this question, if this top 2 are provided, what does it look like? How do you think it will solve your problem? So these are the kind of questions that you need to ask, because you cannot solve all of their issues, right? But 80% of the impact will happen if it's the right solutions that you're focusing on. And then more importantly, you have to gather evidence and impact. So if your client says, this is a problem, how do you know it's a problem? So what are the manifestations that's actually a problem? Very often our clients see it as a problem, but actually that's not the problem. It's in another form. And having this conversation now, and where do you want it to be? So right now, they will say, right now we're getting X%, but we want to be Y%. And then what's the value or the difference over time? Because when you do this, you actually monetize the client issues, and then you'll be able to do a budget. Because if they work with you and you'll be able to calculate, working with me, you'll have 150% more clients, or you'll be 100% more efficient, or you're going to have more, if you have better broadband, then you'll have more efficiency in your business. So I'm not familiar with some of your business here, but the idea is monetize the client issues. So there's 2 types of issues. Either it's a hard issue, which are numbers, sales, costs, customer churn, and soft issues. So if you're in a coaching business or you're providing consulting services, and even applications, like, are you familiar with Headspace, the meditation application? So Headspace is a software that provides how for you to meditate. If you give that free to employees, employee morale will go up. So those are the type of soft issues that you are able to solve. So I'm just gonna pause here. Are you guys good?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So there's a worksheet, and the exercise is, how do you define the evidence and the impact that the problem exists? Let's say your client tells you, I have a problem with my current security system. What's the problem? Oh, we always had it always goes down, so we get hacked. Is there an evidence that you got hacked? And then they will show you. Once they start showing you what are their problems, you'll be able to get deeper and deeper on how to work with them. And then you become one. Like, you're on the other. So when you're talking with your client, they're on the other opposite side of the table, right? But then, can you show me? You ask them to show you on the same screen. Then you're both in the same direction. You're looking at the same problem, and you'll be able to understand what actually their problems are. So again, let's summarize. I'm just checking for time. Okay. Don't jump to selling to a solution. Get out all the issues. Prioritize the issues. Gather evidence and impact. Explore content and constraints. So to summarize opportunity flow, this is how the conversation should happen. They have a problem, or they want results. They have an evidence that that problem actually exists. Then you'll provide a solution. Now, once you've seen the evidence that there's actually a problem, the person that you're talking to know all about it, and then you'll be able to ask all of your questions. I showed this to you earlier. But let's just say the person that you're talking to doesn't have all the questions that you have. What does that mean? What do you think does that mean? Thanks, Dea. Thanks, Tim. What does that mean when the person you're talking to doesn't have all of the questions you're asking?
They're probably not the decision maker.
Yeah, they're not the decision maker, or Sonam, they are the decision maker, but maybe they're too high. They're the CEO, let's say.
Got it. Yeah.
They don't know the project. And you know what? CEOs are very busy. So your project is not going to move. So you gotta tell them to assign a person to work with you. Or they're not the decision maker. What just Sonam said, that can happen as well. So when they're not the decision maker, who's the decision maker? Who can you talk to? And they will refer you to that person. But then sometimes there's no one knows it. Okay, that's now red, right? Those are alarm bells. Because either it's not important enough, the project that you're trying to work on, or you can say, is this something that you would like me to help you and work together? Shall we do a business case together? And then there's an agreement, right? Or the person can say, oh, I don't really have time. But you know what? At least you're not wasting your time. And that's the biggest mistake that I had when I was a salesperson. I was running every opportunity and I realized, you know what, it's not going to work. So you got to find opportunities that you have the best chances of winning. And you have to have somebody inside to work with. And that's what I'm talking about, resources. So when you qualify resources, we only have a few minutes, and I really want to hone down on the budget. A lot of people talk about budget, right? Because you negotiate. But the problem with doing that at the last minute is you lose out. Because if you already have a proposal and you start negotiating, you're going to lose. Don't you think so? I mean, that's the biggest problem of salespeople, right? Submit an offer and they get stingy and they go like, oh, can you put 20% discount? And I'm like, why? So you're not in a position anymore to control the sales process because you've left it too late. If you know what I mean? Does that relate with you guys? What do you think? So when we qualify resources, thank you, McLars. So when we qualify resources, this is what we do, right? You have time, people, and money. And when you talk about money, As soon as you've qualified the opportunity that, yes, this is a qualified opportunity, that's the marketing positioning problem, not a salesperson's problem. I don't think so, Gabe. But I respect your opinion because salespeople need to close the deal. And I think what you're talking about, a marketing problem, is a pricing, right? So bear that. I love that you made a comment. Bear that thought. I love it. Bear that thought, and we'll go to that conversation. So after the opportunity is qualified and it has been quantified, and you know that it's a real project, that's the right time to talk about it. So some of the questions that you can use is, have you talked about is, do you have a budget, right? And then they would say, no, don't worry about it. Money's not a problem. And let me just, okay, thank you. So you're ready to submit an offer. I just got distracted, my apologies. You're ready to submit an offer and your client say, okay, give me a proposal. And you're gonna ask them, what pricing? Okay, great, Gabe. Thanks for the clarification, Gabe. Not position pricing. I agree. It's clear now. So you're going to submit a proposal. Never submit a proposal without knowing the budget. Salespeople, please do not ever submit a proposal because it's not going to work, right? So you might tell me, well, Ren, my client still told me just submit a proposal. Money's not a problem. Or they can say, I cannot tell you because you have another competitor, especially if you're in an RFP. That's why I hate RFPs. Or they can also tell you, I don't know. We haven't had this project. Just give me the pricing. Yeah. So you can use the strategy that I have, the 3-part response for money question. This is what you do. So your client says, okay, Ren, give me a proposal. And I say, okay, how much are you thinking of? Oh, I don't know. Just give me a proposal. All right. I would say, I don't know how much this will really cost you because every client situation is unique. However, other companies that I've worked for or with the same solutions that you're looking at is between X and Y. Let's say it's between 100K to 120K. Does that work for you? So give them a range, right? And can you see yourself falling in this range? There's a few things that they can say. They can say, yep, that will work for me. Or they can say, that's too much. Why are they saying that's too much then when they're not in your range? They actually have a number in their head, but they're not telling you, right? Yeah, I hate RFPs too. So what is the price then? What is it? How did they arrive at the number? Then they tell me 100K? That's so expensive, Ren. I think it should be 80K. So team, at this time, we're not negotiating, right? What we're trying to do here is we're talking about value. Does your client actually value your offer? Is this real? So we're not negotiating. Again, we're talking about value, right? So there's 2 types. It's either it's a logistic issue or it's a value issue. What is a logistics issue? I'm gonna give a new example. I'm really happy this week I closed a deal. So I'm gonna work for a software company. I'm gonna do some strategy selling for them, and we didn't negotiate yet, but they have an issue with their investment. They don't have new investments and the funding will happen in January, but they want to start now. So their issue is a logistic issue. They're not saying that they don't want to work with me or that I'm not worth it, but this year's budget, they can't do it. So I gave them a proposal up to January. And then after January to the next year, for New Zealand, it's until April. And then I'll give them another proposal. So that's a logistic issue. So when you're negotiating with your client in the long run, you have to think about that. Is it a value issue or is it a logistic issue, right? Now, if it's a value issue, that's the problem. Because either they don't think you're the right person to work with. They don't think you're the company that's right to work with. They're already looking at another company. They do not believe in the solution that you're offering. They believe they can get it elsewhere, right? This is a value issue. So at this moment in time, before you submit your offer or proposal, you gotta know, do they value your solution? Are they gonna buy? Because if they can't, you're wasting your time, right? So be very clear. But also you can say, hey Ren, they want some budget, they need a budget, they want to help. It's okay. At least it's clear in your head that they don't have a budget yet, they don't have a project yet, and you're helping them shape it. Does that make sense? Because a big credibility of salespeople, especially if you're in corporate, you gotta give good numbers to your management, right? You do forecasts, you do sales funneling. I mean, I have tummy aches every Monday when I have a forecast call when I was working for corporate, because you gotta make your numbers right. And if you don't have credibility in your company, inside your company, you won't have the right support. If there are engineers here in a call, if you're an engineer and you're working with a lot of salespeople, who's the salesperson you're gonna support? It's gonna be the salesperson who know what they're talking about, right? Because you want to win together. So money conversation. Yes, I agree, Jaya. Right. You must be an engineer, right? So money conversation, either they say yes, good job. They won't say, then you got to dig deeper, test the range. No, then how are they planning to fund it? What's their expectation, right? So I will, because you're here, I can give a copy of this to you. And then when they arrive at the number, that's very funny when they go like, oh, it's only 80K. But that's so funny because at first they don't have a budget, right? Then it becomes 80K. Okay, you got to slow down. And again, show them. Remember in the first slide, we talk about how to show monetization. Remind them. Remind them that say, you know what? If you invest in this, this is what it's going to do for your company. You have to remind them those. And then they will help you resolve the issue on the budget, right? You gotta work with a client inside. That's gonna be your coach. Yes, Gabe. I actually agree. So it's better to, I think it's really good to work with not really startups, but kind of in the middle. So that's the money conversation, right? So if they won't help you, then can someone help you or no one can help you? Then now you're in a position to say, am I going to submit an offer with this client? And then when your boss asks you, what's your chance of winning? At least you know where you are in the sales conversation and in the funnel, and you can find more clients to work with. So what's your, I've given you a lot. Well, there's another framework, but it's already more than 53 minutes, I think. Any insights and reflections? Would really love to have someone chat or put it here. So
I have a question.
go Sonam.
Sorry, Ren. I have a question.
Sure.
A lot of times you come across people who are not so comfortable with questions. They have the mindset of, like I said, they want to figure you out in 5 minutes, and they almost take offense at questions. And I understand a strategy could be to make them feel really comfortable and warm them up into questions. But they've sat into the meeting thinking they'll figure it out in 5 minutes and give their decision in the next 2 minutes. So to have them sit with you for 30 minutes and answer your question and not get offended by questions is a challenge for me sometimes.
Yeah. So very good question, Sonam. I think it's a challenge to a lot of people as well. What I would normally say, and this is a very short call. I think we should have another chat. Is for you to be able to help them, you need more information, and so that they're not going to waste their time either. Because if you have the right information and you can help them better and you won't waste their time. That's what I would say. Because if you just guess at what they're trying to say, then you don't have enough information and the proposal that you're going to make will not fit. So you're just going to go back in circles, right? I think it's also important to have a lot of research about them, like what makes them tick, what makes. So I have some tips on, I call it a catalyst, or if you research your client, and let's say this might not be applicable to you, but for example, they're building a new infrastructure, right? You can actually talk about it. If you're a provider of a network provider, you can actually say, I've heard in the news that you're gonna build a new building next year. How can we help you design a good network infrastructure there? You know, something like that. But kind of look for something that would really resonate with what they want. That would be my suggestion to you, because it's about them, right? Why should I be interested talking to you, Sonam? I don't want you to make a pitch, right? I think that's the first one. I hope that helped.
Yes, yes, that puts things in
It's a good
perspective.
question though.
Yeah,
I wrote it.
thank you.
Help is a key word. Yeah, thank you, Gabe. You're my friend now, Gabe. So we're not gonna cover this, but I'll do it very quickly. Awesome, Ran. Thanks for having me. Thanks, team. So, do you know how your clients make decisions? Most often, we don't know, right? And also, they don't know. I'm telling you, some of our clients, they don't know how they make decisions internally. And what you can do is help them. If you are able to influence them make a decision, you're one step of the game, right? Because some clients really don't know, especially if it's a new project, it's a new technology, they don't really know how to progress. So what you can do is do the 5 questions decision framework. So what are all the steps for them to make a decision? And for every step, what decision needs to be made? And then when will they decide? Who is involved? And how each decision maker will make. Correct. I agree. Emotional and logical. And so this is one example of one of my students, right? So she's selling a software. So she sat down with the IT person, and the IT guy said, oh, we're going to talk to 5 companies. When she was doing this, obviously she's writing down a few notes, right? Then she was able to really hone in on how they make decisions. And being able to know how your clients make decisions is a big part of moving the sales process, because you know some timelines, and you know that they have some decisions to make, and you're going to be there and you're not blind to it. All right. So that's actually the last of the, I'll just stop share. That's the last of the slides. So I'm running a course with Maven next week. I'm giving a 30% discount because actually it's in US dollars. So I know there's some inflation out there. So what, oops, sorry. So what is this about? So module 1 is the foundation, developing a mindset of an elite sales athlete. You'll be able to learn growth mindset. And if you're very familiar with DISC or EDISC, being able to read people, how they think, how they behave, and be able to build rapport with them. And also deep dive on the ideal B2B sales process and how to write and execute a strategic account plan. I also have a CEO fireside chat at the end during the graduation, and we do sales lab. And as a bonus, there's going to be a self-paced course, develop your API, authority, power, and impact to create a powerful network, and a beginner's guide. So if you're not familiar with cohorts, right? A cohort is a combination of people in the digital platform like this. It's very action oriented. We're going to go out into breakout sessions. It's very interactive. Sales is one of the amazing job in the world. I have been in sales for the last 25 years. My vision is to have salespeople like you bring more sales, be very good in your craft. If you're good in sales, you're never gonna lose a job. I'm telling you. Because when you're great in sales, you're great in life. I am not kidding. So keep it up. Thank you so much, team. I really appreciate your time. I'll send you the slides. I'll send you the worksheets. and a video as well. It's going to be in a platform called Circle.